Okay, so this is DJI Neo, a small, lightweight, durable and intelligent drone. Well suited to put in your pocket and have with you everywhere. On the surface, it seems super nice, but is it actually any good? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Niklas. Welcome to my channel where I check out tech, photo and video gear. So if you like stuff like that, you should consider subscribing. In my opinion, consumer drones need to be small, light and easy to carry around, otherwise you'll never use them. And this is something which drones such as the Mini 4 Pro do quite well, if I do say so myself. But what drones like the Mini 4 Pro isn't, is something you can have with you everywhere, because you do need a controller of some sort to actually control the device. It also takes some time to get it up into the air, and well, you also need to have a little bit of practice to actually get some great looking results. Then there of course also is the price, which in my opinion really isn't beginner friendly. So this is where this relatively new self-controlled drone called the DJI Neo comes in really clutch. Because first of all, it has a price tag of $199 for the standalone product, which is just a phenomenal price point for what you get out of the drone. But the drone is also quite special because while you need a controller to use any of the other offerings, this drone is the first drone that can be used completely without the need for any controller, with the built-in intelligent features. So this is super cool. You do have the ability to connect a lot of other DJI gear to the drone, because you can connect the RC-N3, RC2, motion controller 2, DJI FPV goggles 3, FPV controller 3, and a few other pieces of equipment. You can actually even control it with just your phone if you want to, which can be super nice. From using any of the controllers, you actually get the ability to use the drone either as a classic drone or an FPV drone, depending on the gear that you connect it to. But my favorite way of using the drone is, however, the option where you don't use a controller at all, because the intelligent flight features, or quick shots as DJI calls them, are really just a phenomenal way of using the drone. 9 out of 10 times I use it that way. You have 6 options that's available directly on the drone, so if you turn it on by pressing the power button twice and holding it in on the second press, then now you can just choose the different options that's available by pressing the front button. The first mode here is the follow mode, which just follows you around. It's a great option to use when you're out running or biking, because it can easily just follow you along the path. The second option is Droney, which just flies a little bit away from you. It's a great way for some group shots. The third option is Circle, and as the name suggests, it just flies around you in a circle. It can be a great feature to use on top of a mountain somewhere. Then you have Rocket, which kinda just looks down at you and then starts flying up. The fifth option is Spotlight, which makes the drone sit still in the air, and you'll then be able to start moving around it, but it won't move. So it'll just follow you around, but stand still. The drone starts recording by itself when it's in position, so sometimes it's right off the bat and other times it's only on the way back. But you don't need to press record anywhere, it simply does that all by itself. Of course, only in the quickshot modes, and not when you manually control it. The reason that I would probably call this drone the ultimate learning drone as well is simply because it's a great way to become interested in any kind of drone action. Because you can both practice with it as if it was a classic drone by using either the RC-N3 or the RC2 controller. And if you're more interested in the FPV world, you can also just put on the goggles and either use the RC motion controller or the FPV controller and practice flying in both sport or normal mode, as well as manual mode. What's also super great about starting out this way is simply because you can crash relatively much and nothing or not that much would happen to the drone. In the time I've had it for, I've crashed it so many times, more than like 50 times, and you really don't see any scratches or dents anywhere. I will say that most of the time when I've actually crashed, it has been in the grass, so not that much is gonna happen there. But either way, you can crash a lot and not that much happens. If you're looking to control the drone with just your phone, you can also do that with this drone. But I've actually found that you don't need that much to get in the way for it to simply lose the connection completely, which is kind of annoying. I would have also liked for the joysticks to be able to turn horizontally, since that would have been a much easier way of controlling the drone, because having to control it like this isn't the most comfortable. The controls on the phone also seems not that responsive, so I don't really like using the phone that much. If you want to control features such as exposure, white balance and so on, that's always possible to just set within the DJI Fly app. But with this kind of drone, I've just found that it's much better to just leave most of it on auto. And this is simply because this camera sensor isn't the biggest, so the quality isn't the best. But you can still record footage in 4K 30fps or 1080p 60fps. But don't expect too much out of the camera. It's by no means great for professional work, but I like to use it for behind the scenes stuff, at least when I'm on shoots. The footage coming from the device is really smooth though, which is super nice to see. All the footage I've captured is at least really nice and stable. I don't see that much shake anywhere, even when I'm running at like full speed. It has a 1/2 inch image sensor that can capture stills in 12 megapixel. So it isn't the worst, but it's not the best either. The image coming from the camera is this incredibly saturated look that all of DJI's products usually have. So I'll suggest that you fine-tune the camera a little within the DJI Fly app. Just a suggestion. The drone is super lightweight at only 135 grams. It also has a C0 certification, which means that you don't need a certificate to fly it here in Europe, where I live, which is super nice. I will, however, always recommend you to get a certificate, simply because you learn a lot about what you can and what you can't do with the drones. So I still highly recommend you to get a certificate. But it's always nice to know that you don't need a certificate. On the paper it says that the battery should last around 18 minutes when just flying around, and that seems to be quite right actually. I at least got around 15 minutes most of the time with a fully charged battery. So it seems quite accurate. But I actually most of the time never record for 15 minutes straight in a single clip, because I just feel like that's wasteful if I'm only gonna use like 5 seconds max. So I usually turn it on and off when needed. I often take it with me on a run, simply because I can have it in my pocket. And here I kinda just puts it up in the air sometimes, and then I turn it off, run a bit, like maybe half a kilometer, and then I do it again. It's a great way to use it. And last time I ran like a 5 kilometer run, I came home with still like 50% of battery. So if you use it sparingly, the battery is more than enough. But be aware when you fly around with it, because it doesn't have obstacle sensors like a lot of other options. So you have to be aware of where you fly it. And this can also kind of be a bit of a problem with using the self-controlled options, especially the follow mode, since it just follows you around, and if you cut a corner when you're running, you have a possibility for it to kind of just fly into stuff. So yeah, that can kind of happen. It has only happened like twice for me, so it's not that big an issue. You can get the drone itself for the low cost of $199 US. However, I've got the combo pack, which costs $289 US, and it includes 2 extra batteries with a charging station and the RC N3 phone controller. The phone controller is mostly used when you want a more stable connection and an easier, more tangible way of controlling your drone. The battery station is actually quite unique, since it's the first charging station that DJI has created where you actually charge all 3 batteries simultaneously. So getting all the batteries to go from 0 to 100 goes extremely fast. And you almost always have a battery ready for use, which is super nice. I highly appreciate that feature. I kind of wish that all DJI's products had this feature now. There's no bag with the combo pack this time around, which is kind of sad, since it usually is some pretty nice bags DJI has started to create for their products this last year. So I had kind of hoped that they would have included a bag with this product. But I guess it's fine. I would have probably never used it anyway, because I always put the drone in my pocket anyway. Even though the image quality has the ability to go up to 4K 30 FPS, the image still doesn't look that great. It's not close to any of the other drones at all, so it's by no means the best image quality on the market. It kind of looks more like an action camera from a few years ago, where the bitrate kind of were making these smeary looking images. That's the best example I can find. But I will still say that a lot of people probably wouldn't care that much as long as you just make the audio sound crisp and clear. And if you own the DJI Mic 2s, which I don't, you can actually connect them directly to the drone and just have it fly in front of you, and you can just talk directly to it, which can be great if you're like running and stuff. The image quality doesn't bother me that much. I also really don't understand why they decided that it was a good idea to not include an option to record vertical footage native with the camera. Because to be honest, I'm never gonna use it for horizontal recordings at all. Because if I need horizontal recordings, I'll take my Mini 4 Pro with me any day of the week. So it would have been like great for vertical stuff you could put on Instagram or TikTok and stuff like that. Another thing I also don't like is the fact that it's so wind sensitive. The reason this really annoys me is simply because I live in Denmark, where the wind is quite strong, 300 out of 365 days. So being able to fly super high up or away usually ain't an option, simply because it won't be able to handle that at all. It'll just keep trying and trying until it either gives up or just creates some super unstable and shaky footage. It's also quite loud most of the time, and it doesn't have the obstacle avoidance sensors, so it's very likely to crash if you're flying over something. But luckily it's quite durable. These few things are actually the only complaints I have about the drone. Apart from that, I really love it. Just the convenience of being able to throw it in your pocket and have it with you everywhere is simply just so nice. It's gonna be a great tool for my business because I can now easily record myself when I'm on a shoot with a client. So it's great for behind the scenes content. So I'm gonna start to throw something on my Instagram, I think. So follow me on Instagram if you don't already. That would be really nice. This drone is simply just an amazing entry into the drone space. And even though I'm a more experienced drone pilot, even I have a lot of purpose for it. And I find it super cool to have with me everywhere. I had it with me on a shoot the other day, and the guys there, they were like, holy shit, it's cool. Because you could just like throw it up and it would just follow you around everywhere. They could even go in front of it, and the intelligent feature just knew that it was me it had to follow, which was kind of nice actually. So it's incredibly intelligent. So though you don't get the best image quality ever, it's really still a great recommendation from me. Yeah, that was about it. If you'd like to check it out for yourself, you can do so through the affiliate link in my bio, which I would highly appreciate. I receive a very small percentage of the purchase when you use the link, so I'd really highly appreciate if you choose to use that link if you intend to buy a DJI Neo drone. Then I'd, as always, also highly appreciate it if you left a like and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next one. I'm out.